It might not feel like it's working. It's meant to give me what's wrong with all my love. It's working. Everything in my life is working. It's 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 working. I might not be able to see it. I might not be able to know it's working. But it's working. It's working. I said it's working. It's working. It's working for my good. God, thank you for looking out for me. Thank you for looking out for me. It's working. It's working. Thank you for being our fence. Thank you for being our shelter. It's working. It's working. Oh, I'm ready for you. It's working. Oh, what was meant to kill me, it only made me better. Hallelujah. Come on, let's give God some praise right there. It only made me better. It only made me better. Hallelujah. Come on, let's just get a little bit off of the tongue. Thanks. Thanks for letting it work out for me. Thank you, Jesus. All the things that I've done, it's still working for my good, and I appreciate you, God. Somebody ought to give him a hand praise and thanks. So thanks. All right, somebody say, you got to tell him thanks. Hallelujah. It's working for my good. Hallelujah. 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 Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. We praise you, oh God. Hallelujah. Can we just take like 30 seconds and just praise the Lord for his protection? Somebody just right now just begin to thank God. Come on, just begin to thank him for his protection. Just how he watched over and protects us. Somebody needs to be grateful today and say, Lord, from danger seen and unseen. Come on, just give him a praise right now in your mouth and your hands. Thank you, Lord, for protecting us from danger seen. Somebody ought to lift their hands in this next 15 seconds and just say, Lord, thank you for your protection. Hallelujah. Just watching over my children, oh God. Watching over my spouse. Watching over the church, oh God. Watching over our pastor and the First Family, oh God. We just thank you, Father God. Hallelujah. Just look at somebody and say, thank God for you. That he protected you. There is only one name. There is only one name. Power to save. Power to save. Hallelujah. There is only one name. Come on, say this. There is only one name. Power to save, power to save, power to save. And our God is champion. He reigns forevermore, forevermore. Our God is champion. Our God is champion. He reigns forevermore. 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 Every shall bow down. Every knee shall bow down. Every tongue confess. Every tongue shall confess. Jesus Christ. You are Lord. You are Lord. Every knee shall bow down. Every knee shall bow down. Every tongue shall confess. Jesus Christ. Lord, you are Lord. Hallelujah. Our God is champion. He reigns forevermore. Forevermore. Sing with us. Forevermore. Forevermore. Sometimes I gotta tell you, our God is champion. Our God is champion. He reigns forevermore. Forevermore. Oh, silence the Lord, praise right now. It's time for the captain to take the ship. It's time for the blessing of the Lord to flow. It's time for the deliverance to come into your life. Hallelujah, we sing the deliverance to the life of God's people. Hallelujah, breakthrough. Hallelujah, breakthrough. Hallelujah. 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 Let's shift now. Can't keep broken. Break our spirit. Holy, come down. Heaven open. Heaven open. Heaven open. Atmosphere shift now. Chains be broken. Break out. Holy Spirit, come. Heaven open. Atmosphere shift now. Chains be broken. Break out. Holy Spirit, come now. Heaven open. Heaven open. Atmosphere shift now. Chains be broken. Break out. Holy Spirit, come now. Heaven open. Heaven open. Heaven open. Come on. Atmosphere shift. Chains be broken. Hallelujah. 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 Heaven open. Heaven open. When you say this, our God is champion. He reigns forevermore. And you just say that to yourself, my God is champion. My God is better than all of us. Hallelujah. He reigns forevermore. One last time, with all that you muster up to say, our God, everyone saying it, is champion. He reigns forevermore. mighty wise God. Hallelujah. Our Savior. Be glory, majesty, dominion, and power. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's give him a round of praise. We serve a mighty God. Hallelujah. Angels bow before him. Hallelujah. And heaven and earth adore him. Hallelujah. What a mighty God we serve. Hallelujah. 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 Just right in his way. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Can you say that? That's going to be our war cry. Let's sing it again. Say, Lord, you're mighty. 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 King of kings. Lord, you're mighty. Lord of lords. Lord, you're mighty. Lord, you're mighty. Lord, you're mighty. Lord, you're mighty. One more time. Lord, you're mighty. 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 Oh Lord, how excellent is your name in all the earth. How do you say it? You said your glory above the heaven and the earth. When I think of all you made, the sun, the moon, and the stars, no praise is high enough to express how great you are. Say, Lord, you're mighty. 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 Say, Lord, you're mighty. 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 Oh Lord, how excellent is your name in all the earth. You said your glory is above the heaven and the earth. When I think of all you made, the sun, the moon, and the stars, no praise is high enough to express how great you are. Oh, what a mighty God we serve. A mighty God we serve. Angels bow before the mighty God we. Come on, you say it. What a mighty God we serve. Oh, mighty God we serve. Angels bow before the mighty God we serve. Hallelujah. 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 All glory, all honor, all praise, all praise, we serve. Angels bow before the mighty God we serve. What a mighty God! What a mighty God we serve! Mighty God we serve. Angels bow before the mighty God we serve. Come on, put your hands together. What a mighty God. What a mighty God we serve. Mighty God we serve. Angels bow before the mighty God we serve. Take it lower, take it lower. The mighty God we serve. Mighty God we serve. Angels bow before the mighty God we serve. Hallelujah, let's praise him right there. Hallelujah, praise him right there. Hallelujah. What a mighty God we serve. Hallelujah. And while you're still standing, it is for me a great privilege as well as a pleasure to introduce the pastor and founder of the Victorious Living Church of God in the person of Dr. David S. Blair Sr. Can we sing my say, praise the Lord? Can we sing my say, preach the word?
Let's give God some praise. Before we give him the hand, let's give God some praise. He is a great God. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Angels bow before him. Heaven and earth adore him. What a mighty God we serve. He is able to keep you from falling. He is able to present you faultless before his presence, so that you can come before his presence and sing. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving. Know ye that he is God. It is he that has made us and not we ourselves. He is able to keep you from falling. He is able to do all things. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding and abundantly over all your enemies around about you. He is able to let you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And you don't have to be afraid or fear nothing that's around you. He is able to keep you, hallelujah, to save you, to make a way from you. Hallelujah, if you believe that our God is able, he is a mighty God. Hallelujah, right of Isaiah says, beside him, there is no other Savior. Beside him, there is no other deliverer. Beside him, there is no other God, for I am the Lord. I change him not. Hallelujah, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, the Almighty God, the one who is and was and is to come, the one who shows up in the late midnight hours and makes a way for his people. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty, mighty, mighty God we serve. So the angels, earlier says that 24 hours They bow before the throne. With that one phrase of worship, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. Almighty God, look at your neighbor and say, you serve a mighty God. Don't let nobody fool you. Don't let the devil trick you. Don't let life find you. We serve a mighty God. Mighty God. Mighty God. Mighty God. David says, "Prepare not yourself because of evildoers, even our enemies against the workers of iniquity. They shall soon be called." He says 10 chapters earlier, "For the Lord is my light, and the Lord is my salvation. Of whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, come upon me, be my flesh, they stumble and they fail." Hallelujah. He says 54 chapters in the future. Hallelujah. "That 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it will not come nigh thy dwelling." Almighty God, we serve. High five somebody, tell me he's mighty. He's mighty. Don't get it twisted. You might be going through something that will change his strength. He's a mighty God. He's mighty. Be prepared to take your seat. I am speaking earlier in the week. I am so glad for the privilege of knowing him.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I am so thankful to know him. Because knowing him, despite my situation, allows me to have hope. Knowing him, in spite of my circumstance, allows me to have hope.
Yes, yes.
And if you ask me today, I'll tell you the most miserable place in life to be. The worst thing to be in life right now is to be in life without hope. You can be unemployed, but if you have hope, you can work a dead end, a bum-like job, but if you have hope, you can be in a jacked up relationship, but if you have hope, the ref could be counting you out, and he's at the count of 9, and at 10 he'll strike his hands across you, but if you have hope, there's a lot of folk living right now who have no hope. And a life without hope is not a life with a hope. The reason why folk drive cars off the bridge, they load the 38 and do all kind of other stuff. It's not that life was too tough. It was they lost their hope. Because most of us have gone through some things here, but we made it through not because you were so strong, and not because you were so righteous, and not because you had so much working for you that just enabled you, not because you had a whole lot of people in your corner, not because But the reason why you still here is because you had hope. That when other folk gave up, you kept pressing. You went through the same stuff they went through, but you had hope. Don't allow the traumas and tragedies of life to strip you from the thing you need most. These neighbors say, keep the hope, keep. Jackson said, keep hope alive. This morning I want to talk to you about to him that overcomes. To him that overcomes. It's almost suggesting that you have to go through something to overcome. Yesterday I sat down with Lady Blair. I think she was down there yesterday. I sat down with Lady Blair to watch a movie of her own choosing. Came down to 2 movies to watch. It was It's a Wonderful Life and Life Itself. The irony of it all is that I spent yesterday throughout the day narrating in my mind the highlights of today's sermon, which deals with the issues of life. Yes. Talking to myself about facing the challenges and trials that come with life and facing them head on and still deciding and striving to get the victory over the stuff that comes against us. Because life is filled, someone said, with swift transitions. Life deals you sometimes a hand that you wish you could give back to the dealer. Life has moments of pleasure, moments of joy, moments of sorrow, moments of disappointment, moments of hurt, moments of uncertainty. And it's all part of life. And so we sat down to watch either It's a Wonderful Life or Life Itself. Well, It's a Wonderful Life lost out to life itself. And let me warn you that several times in watching this movie of sorts, this train wreck of sorts, I left. Whether physically still there, mentally gone. But I endured for 1 hour and 45 minutes of my time watching a movie called Life Itself. I cannot name a single character in the movie. There are no big names in the movie. If it was, I simply had checked out too soon to see it. And I watched and sat there, and every so often I was pulled back in. And the reason why Lady Blair Lucy wanted to watch this particular movie is because it was written by or produced by, I don't know which, This Is Us. And This Is Us, y'all like that, right? It's a good movie. This Is Us always has punchlines and headlines and things going, and it keeps your attention. And so Lady Blair watching Life Itself, believing she's watching This Is Us, felt like this movie has to have some redeeming qualities. I'll admit to you, it did have a few redeeming qualities, mostly at the end. It started out, and I won't name the person who narrated it, but it started out with this individual who is well known, who is probably the most popular person. You don't see him, but he's narrating. So to me, he's not in the movie. He's narrating, and the narration of it, you say to yourself, why in the world are you doing it? This is a waste of time. For 10 to 15 minutes, he narrated this, and I kept saying to myself, please stop. Stop. And I looked at the screen in front of me and saw the train running into the wall. So right. But surprisingly enough, there were moments. Had to be at least a couple of moments, otherwise I wouldn't be talking with you this morning. Moments or clips of scenes that were useful and even intuitive to be beneficial for this morning's message. And so life itself, as I talk about the opening, I was saying, please stop. And I realize that sometimes stuff happens in life that you want to stop and it won't stop.
Amen.
It's bad, but it keeps on going. The main character of this movie, at least the main character who was supposed to be a main character, I say that only because the main character died off in the first 20 minutes. The main character, you know, and I only say this in case y'all want to watch it later. I won't be spoiling it. But one of the main characters got hit by a bus. But before she got hit by a bus, she gave us.
Tell it all.
I don't tell it all. It's still a lot for you to see, but not see, baby. But she was a graduating student. She was given the responsibility of writing, given the arduous responsibility to those, Sister Lisa, Sister Benita, and other of us, and those of you who know, it's a difficult task to have to write a 20 and 30 and 40 page paper. And she was given the arduous task of having to write this paper. And you all understand that the most important thing when you have a large task like this to do is choosing the correct subject. And then writing a strong thesis. Because if you choose the wrong subject and your thesis is weak, then you will have trouble trying to keep this paper alive for 20 and 30 and 40 pages. Then you're repeating the same stuff. It don't make no kind of sense, and you're up here preaching the message like that. But she gave us the thesis. And the thesis helps us understand the rest of the movie. Her thesis is this, that life itself is the most unreliable narrator. That life itself is the most unreliable narrator. What that means is life is unpredictable. Life is difficult, undependable, and just when you think you figured it out, it shifts and changes. Life itself is the most unreliable narrator. Joshua, get ready. I got a small clip for you to see of this movie. This movie was filled with twists and disappointments, both in the movie and as a viewer. But I got a clip for you. But then, in the middle of all this, it blessed me with something was one of the most powerful statements in the movie. There it is. One minute.
Enough. Listen to me. You have had many ups and downs in your life. Too many. And you will have more. This is life. And this is what it does. Life brings you to your knees. It brings you lower than you think you can go. But if you stand back up and move forward, if you go just a little further, you will always find love.
That's it. Best part of the movie. Life, things sometimes go wrong in life.
Amen.
People will let you down in life. Business will fold and collapse in life. Sickness and death is a part of living in life. And sometimes your dreams die.
Wow. That's the truth.
It's life.
Life.
Sometimes you invest time in people and have thoughts about things, imagining things here, and you envision things here only to later on wish that you would never have engaged all of that time in there because you discovered too late that they ain't worth it. Now, I ain't throwing no shade on nobody, but I'm telling you, sometimes y'all hook up with folk here and they shielding and covering all the bad stuff here, and now you done fell in love with that joke, and now you found out Joker is really a joker. And now it's hard to separate because your heartstring, you know he ain't worth nothing. You know he looking for somebody to be his mama, she looking for somebody to be his daddy. They ain't looking for no, they want you to wear them hand and foot, but now your heartstrings are involved. And now you're dealing with an issue of life that you wish you could suck up and spit back out in another direction. And stuff happens in life. Say amen. Amen. Say amen again. Because life is the most unreliable narrator. But here's what Isabel said. She said that if life brings you to your knees, it will sometimes bring you lower than you think you can go. Am I talking to anybody up in here? When stuff goes wrong, when things that you plan, things that you hope for, things that you thought would happen, don't happen the way you wanted to happen, and it just goes all wrong. When life goes left, then you going right. When life brings you to your knees and it brings you lower than you think you can go. But if you stand back up and move forward. Isabel saying, look, I know it's tough, but get back up again. I know it's hard, but life is hard sometimes. Get back up again. Don't lose your faith. Don't lose your hope. Don't lose what you've been dependent upon here. Get back up. The problem sometimes is folk get knocked down and stay there. Down is never permanent unless you refuse to get up.
Amen.
Failure is never permanent unless you accept it as being all it is. If life brings you to your knees, and when I get real spiritual, I tell you that's a real good place to be because there's only one place to look up. That's right, amen. But then the carnal mind says, well, when you're down, you keep on looking down. Stop being carnal. Amen. But when you're at your lowest, there's only one place to do, and that's look up. She says, it brings you to a place lower than you think you can go. But if you stand back up and move forward. See, I need you to get back up and move forward. I need you to get up. Stop fussing. Stop complaining. Stop moaning and groaning. Stop looking for somebody to go through and help you out, all that stuff. And get yourself up and move forward. Stop talking about how long it's been since you've been moving forward. Well, today ought to be the day of moving forward. Today ought to be the day where you're going to make up in your mind, make a decision and say, you know what, enough. Did you notice that the very first word that she said was, enough? If you go just a little further. If you get up, move forward, and go just a little farther. Turn around and tell somebody, say, go a little further. I don't need you to run a marathon, but just go a little further. I don't need you to try to outrace nobody, outrun them. Just go a little further. Just move a little further than where you have to. And it might be a whole journey in front of you, but make sure every day of the journey you're moving forward. Just do something every day, and you will discover that sooner than later, you'll look behind you and you'll be further away from where you were.
Yes.
But you gotta do something a little bit every day. Stop putting it off to another day. You just go a little further. Sometimes life happens, things go wrong, not as planned, not as hoped for, and it leaves you sometimes with questions. And if you're not careful, it'll cause you to question your faith and maybe even lose faith. I was listening to a mother tell a story about her baby girl that died. This young lady was born in 2009, and she died. And it broke this mother. She couldn't understand how this could happen. And she couldn't understand why this happened. And it broke her to the point that she stopped going to church. She stopped believing God. Her son was also young, but she had a sister that she kept allowing her son to go to church with her sister. One particular day, she was having a hard time. She was in the car driving, and she was just channel surfing, and she flipped the channel to a gospel music station, and the music kind of ministered to her. And so she let it stay there as she was driving along, and she listened and heard a noise coming from the back seat of her car, and it was her son. And so she looked up in the rearview mirror, and she saw her son. He was talking and singing, and his hands was grown up. And she said to him, she said, "Son, what are you doing?" The little voice from the back seat said, "Mom, I'm giving it all to God." We got a whole lot of stuff going on, but I'm giving it all to God. I'm sitting in the back seat, but right now I'm giving it all to God. It's harder than it's ever been, but at the moment I'm giving it all to God. I'm carrying it as long as I can carry it, as far as I can carry it, as heavy as it is. I'm giving it all to God. Some goes wrong, but I learned how to trust. I learned how to lean. I learned how to call on the name of the Lord. I'm giving it all.
Yes.
God. Casting all your cares upon him, said Peter, because he careth for you.
Yes.
It says the Old Testament, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which the Lord your God will do before you on this day. And the enemy that you see won't see no more. Hallelujah. So don't be weary in well doing, when in due season you'll reap if you faint. What are you doing? I'm giving it to God. Giving it to him. What are you giving him? All my hurts, all my heartaches, all my disappointments, all my stress, all the stuff that don't make no kind of sense up in here, all the issues that bug me out, that freak me out, that trip me out. Giving it all. What are you doing? Mom, I'm giving it all to God. What do you do? What are you doing? Are you still carrying it? Are you still struggling in it? If you don't hear anything else from me this morning, give it all to God. You got relationship issues, give it to God. You got kid problems, give them. Give her. Give them to God. Hallelujah. You got mental issues, give it. To got stress, the stressing you out, give it.
Give it to God.
All
To God.
to God. What are you doing? I'm giving it to Him. Why would you do that? Because I have hope in Him. I believe Him. I tried Him. He's proven Himself to be faithful. He is not a man that He should lie, nor the Son of Man that He should repent. If He said it, He'll bring it to pass. If He spoke it, He'll make it good. He'll do what He said. He'll make a way out of no way. Mountain. We sang it. That I'm telling this mountain, be gone.
Yes. In the name of Jesus. Yes.
Taking the authority over my life. And He says to us, I'm giving it all to God. When life brings you to your knees, when you find yourself lower than you thought you could go, give it to God. Stand back up and move forward. So why would you do all that? Look. Jesus said, here's the words of the Lord. He said to us, to him that overcometh. Now this is Revelation. And I know y'all like to stay away from Revelation. But if you like, we can bring it out of John too. John said that he's the one who writes Revelation, so you get the same thing. Thank you. Jesus says, to the 7 churches of Asia Minor in the book of Revelations, which really represents the entire church age. Get this now. Jesus says to the 7 churches of Asia Minor, in other words, he makes 7 promises to the 7 churches, to the church of Asia Minor, beginning with the church of Ephesus, and then he goes all the way through to the church of Laodicea, which means it's the entire church age. So let me rephrase that. So Jesus talks to the church.
Come on, Pastor.
And he says to them, look, I know what you're made of. I know what brings you joy and what challenges you. I know where you are strong and I know all of your weaknesses. I also know the plans that Satan has. I know where he will attack. I know when he will attack. And I know what you need to do when you are attacked.
Come on.
So Jesus says to them, hear me. You say, I don't hear that. Well, here's what he said. He that hath an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church. So Jesus says to the church, hear me. Y'all know with me. Look, I know all the stuff that's going on in your world. I know all the tragedy that's going on in your life. I know all the drama that's happening in your home every moment. I know what's going to happen on tomorrow, but hear me. I know your weaknesses, your strength. I know your disappointments, your hurts. I know your joy, your excitement. I know the things that pick you up and the things that slay you and make you feel like not even getting out of the bed, but hear me. So my question to you before I go any further is, are you listening? Because if you're not listening, you're going to miss what Jesus said. He says, can you hear? He that has an ear, let him hear. Can you, in other words, can you get past the what ifs? Can you get past the what was? Can you even get past what's going on at the moment and hear me? Can you get out of your past and hear me? Can you get out of your present and hear me? Can you stop being so consumed about what your future is going to look like and hear me? Hear me, said the Lord. He said that he that have the ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church. And then he says to the churches, the 7 churches, he said, I'll make a promise to every church in every age. No matter where you are in the church, whether you're a newbie in the church or an old fogey in the church. Whether you come in, you're new in the way or you're standing in the way. He makes a promise to them and he says to every church, to him that overcometh. Every statement to every church is starting with these words, to him that overcometh. In other words, God is saying, look, I expect you to overcome some stuff. I know you got some issues going on, but I want you to overcome it. Now, what does it mean to overcome? It means to get the better of in the struggle or in the conflict. To overcome. To overcome means to conquer. Somebody say it with me, conquer. Look at somebody else and say conquer. Jesus says to him that overcomes, to him that conquers, to him who gets the better of it in the struggle, to him who faces conflict but don't allow conflict to break them down, to him that overcome it. Overcome means to prevail over. It means to prevail over. It means to rise above the opposition. It means to rise above and get the victory over the debilitating situation. It means to face the temptation, but don't let the temptation take you under. For there is therefore now no temptation taken among men, but what is common to men. But God will also with the temptation make a way of escape. David said, for the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He then goes to all the issues of life, but then he comes back and said, but surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Why? Because I place myself in his care, in his hand. To him that overcomes, it means to overpower or overwhelm in your body and in your mind. To him, click it, that overcometh. It means to gain the victory. It means to win. Jesus said, look, are you listening? To him that overcometh, to him that wins, to him that pursues, to him that gets, to him that keeps on pushing and keeps on pressing. To him, he said, I make a promise to you. Now I won't go through all 7 churches because y'all will look at me funny. And somebody just said thank you. You're welcome. But it starts out with the church of Ephesus, and he says to the church of Ephesus, you know what? Look, listen to me. You have lost your first love. I picked that because I wonder how many of us up in here.
Yes.
You started out loving God, started out loving the church, started out doing all, but he said, look, the church of Ephesus, he says, you have lost your first love. He said, examine yourself, repent, look back and see how far you have fallen. He said, the problem is that you started lowering your standard. You started lowering your standard. The things that were clearly approved or disapproved of God. The things that God simply says, this is who I am and this is not who I am. And because you want to be popular, because you're on a belt where market comes and goes, and now you've grown and increased in things here, and you're positioned in a good place here where you don't have certain struggles and certain challenges, but now you're attracting everybody. He said, because now that you got a little something going on for you, you start loving me like you used to love me. And you start accepting stuff that you wouldn't accept because you knew it was wrong. You start saying, well, you know what? We got to be a little more tolerant of things. And we got to be a little more accepting of things. Because, you know, they're just having their own issue. And God said, the stuff I said no to, I mean no to. So how far have you fallen? He says, repent and do your first work. Yes. Falling in love. Yes. Jesus. Yes. I'm falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus. Somebody said, you think you can sing? It's the best thing I have ever done.
Yes, Lord.
Cause in your arms, I feel protected, oh Lord. In your arms, never disconnected. I tell myself I can disguise my worship as prayer. I might not be able to sing you, but baby, I guarantee you, if you give me a chance to worship God, you will not outworship me. Say whatever you want, but baby, I know my worship moves me into the place of God. Hallelujah. So I don't worry that I can't sing. I'm glad that you don't like me to sing because it ain't about you. But when I need Jesus and I don't want to worship So I know I need to get and get his attention because I fall in love. Jesus. It's the best thing I ever did. I'm trying to be bothered with y'all and all the craziness. Jesus says, repent and do your first work over. Sometimes you need to go back to the first day when you called on his name in faith and in salvation. You need to get back to the place where you're back on your knees at the altar like you were when you were 16 or 17 and start saying, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. But I know it ain't popular. I know you have to look ugly to get some things here done in the kingdom, but baby, sometimes you just got to get ugly so you can get delivered. Ooh, Jesus. Sometimes you can be delivered. You need to ugly. You gotta get to the place where I don't care how I look. It doesn't matter if the mascara runs down my eye, down my face, and runs my little perfume, do, dress, collar, whatever. I need him. He says, overcoming the temptations and I will reward you. Jesus says to the church of Ephesus, if you go back and do your first work, I will give you the seat. I'll give you to eat at the tree of life. He said, I'll bless you to eat life. I'll bless you with the abundance of life. If you love me like you used to love me, baby, there ain't nothing I won't do for you. I'll give you life and more abundantly. I'll give you blessings and privilege that you don't earn, you can't deserve, you can't say it was me, but I'll just do it because you love me. And if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. And if you love me, I'll show you. I'll put you out. You love me. Yeah. Goes to the second church. Don't worry, I ain't gonna do seven. Goes to the second church, and it's the church of Smyrna. You gotta understand, the church of Smyrna was located about 30 to 45 miles east, I believe it is, of Ephesus. And Smyrna, they had issues that was going on because in Smyrna, they really had what was called the temple of Satan. They were positioned right beside a place where Satan had his own temple. Y'all don't hear me. The church of Smyrna was in the same city with the church of Satan. Y'all don't hear me. Every time the church of Smyrna would try to do this, the church of Satan would say, oh, we're going to cast that out. It was a constant fight. And so the church of Smyrna is identified in Scripture as the persecuted church. And Jesus said, look, I know you're going through some hard times. I know you feel the strength of persecution. I know you're up against a bad situation. Your back is up against the wall. But Jesus said, but don't be afraid. Don't walk in fear, even though you got all this stuff going on. He said, I want you to hold your head up high. And don't be afraid. Why? Because I am on your side. Shall not fear though the earth melts and the swelling. Don't fear. 1,000 shall fall at thy side and 10,000 at thy right hand and won't come nigh thy dwelling. Don't fear. Don't fear. He said, look, church. Look, church. Don't be afraid. It don't matter who's in the White House. Don't be afraid. It don't matter how many people are on Supreme Court and justice and all the other stuff. Don't be afraid. He said, I want you to live the life that I called you to live, and you don't have to be afraid. Why? Because I am on your side. And if you can overcome fear, if you can overcome fear, if you can overcome the painful experiences and the moments of your life, if you can overcome the hurt that's going on, and in fact, he says to them, he says, look, I know you're being persecuted because you got some haters. Yeah. And there's some folk always going to be with you who don't like you. But I need you not be afraid. Hallelujah. I need you to just keep on pushing through because I will always be on your side. Now, man born of a woman is in a few days. Y'all know that. So I don't know why the church started acting crazy when you start having some issues because you know that you're going to have some problems in this world. Oh, y'all gonna hit me? You know and I know there's gonna be some problems. Things gonna fall out. Things are not gonna work out the way you expect it to. But you gotta hold on to your faith and your hope because it was already prophesied, foretold, promised.
Yeah.
Prophesied, foretold, and promised. But he says, if you overcome, he said, I want you to overcome because I have overcome the world.
Yeah.
He says, so if you overcome, watch this now. Sister Sonia, you're going to like this. He said, I'll give you hidden manna. I'll give you revelation. I'll give you information. You overcome. He says, not only that, I'll give you power and authority. Hallelujah. Because you overcome. He said, because you overcome, I'll give you information and insight. I'll give you stuff that nobody else has. And then he says, on top of all that, he says, I will make you a pillar in the house. I will make you a pillar, a supporting beam, a unmovable wall, a load-bearing wall. I will make you a pillar in the house of the Lord.
Hallelujah.
So that you no longer go in and out. In other words, God said you'll stop all this tiptoeing in and out, backsliding. He said, when you overcome this, I'm going to give you so much strength. I'll make you a pillar. That might not be popular these days here. Folk don't want to be pillars in the house of God. I don't know what's wrong with some folk here, but folk don't want to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. I don't know what's wrong with some folk here. They want to be pillars in the club. They want to be seen on the iconic view of Hollywood. They want to be on the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncé's and all the other things here. But what happens when the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncé's and all the other folk here have the issues of life coming at them here and they have to then have account for their own soul? Because money will never replace your judgment. Amen. And this is not to get you down that road here, but I need you to understand that God says, I'll make you a pillar. You are to find yourself to want to be strong in the house of the Lord. Yes. In this day and time when folk are having all kind of issues here, I said to you earlier, the most miserable place in life is a place where you have no hope. But baby, if you're in the church, there is hope. Jesus said, he that have an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit said to the church. I'm moving on and I'm getting done with my final one. Jump down to verse number 7 and actually go down to verse number 20, chapter 21, and repeats it. He says, to him that overcometh, he shall inherit all things. Hallelujah. Church, to him that overcomes, God's promise to the church is that he shall inherit all things. Whatever things you have need of, his hand have provided it. You just got to overcome. See, the stuff that you're right now, I need you to tell me, whatever it is, you're right now, you're pushed in the corner, backed up against the wall. But I'm telling you that if you get the victory over this, you're just one overcome situation away from your greatest victory. You're just one step away from God moving in the manner that God wants to move in your life. To him that overcometh, he shall inherit all things. God knows what you're in need of. God knows what your prayers are. I feel like praying for somebody. You got about seven people in the line real quickly. Come on. And if it looks like you're trying to get there, you move a little slow. Grace might meet you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's 8 or 9. Who's the oil? To him that overcometh, he shall inherit all things. Somebody say all things.
All things.
In this day and hour, come, David, musicians. is so vital for you to hold on to your faith. While life might be the most unreliable narrator, God is the author and the finisher of our faith. God knows you from the beginning to the end. God knows your uprising and your downslope.
Yes, Lord.
God knows you're coming in and you're going down. And so you may not be able to depend on life doing what you want life to do, but you can depend on God.
Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
When trouble comes, there is that hide me.
Yes, 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 Lord.
Hide me there the cross.
Thank you, Jesus.
God is able. Pastor Jackson, come. Oh God, by the authority of your word, by the grace of your spirit that's been given, by the poured out of your anointing, breathe new life into this vessel. Breathe, God. Hope. Oh God. Let it flow like a river, God.
Yes, Lord.
Sit and we bind you in the name of Jesus. We declare that no weapon formed against her shall be able to prosper. For she is the head and not the tail. God, we bind the hand of the enemy, every spirit, God, that will try to lurk or attach itself to her. Oh God, your destiny is sure, your plan is going to come to pass. Your word is settled, God. And so, Lord, he that overcometh shall inherit all things. We thank you right now.